at the speed of Peterson shifting gears.
Five, and I hope the official wait for
It's going to be a repeat of yesterday. Haggis Bourbon action going to the line with United Healthcare.
There's a fair amount of worry amongst the Marseille supporters, and why not? It is absolutely the best player on the planet at the moment.
What's going on, fellas and ladies? Check out my new hat, Pulsed Electromagnetic Therapy. I know you've probably never heard of it. It's probably above you, honestly, but I saw Tom Brady was using one of these to elevate his athletic performance. I figured it's good enough for Tom Brady and the other pros. Well, it's good enough for me, right? What's going on? Today we're going to look at ozone therapy and its use in athletics. Adrian Peterson, Cristiano Ronaldo, Ian Cutelaba, a ton of cyclists are using ozone therapy to enhance their performance. But that's not necessarily a good criteria for us to start using ozone therapy for athletic performance. We need to do our due diligence to ensure that ozone therapy may actually work for this stuff, not just take the pros' word for it. They can be fooled just like anybody else. So today we're going to address the question, does ozone therapy work as a performance enhancer in athletics? Before we get into ozone therapy and its use in athletics, there's a couple of things we need to qualify. Number one, ozone therapy is bad to breathe. So you can't breathe ozone because it oxidizes lung tissue. But the claim is that ozone has a hormesis effect where you can take it, a medical, pure, precise dose of ozone therapy and administer it in a different way, like with the blood, and it creates a beneficial response. The second thing we need to qualify is that there are different forms or two primary different categories for how ozone therapy is administered and the benefits thereof. The first one is a systemic form of administration where this is supporting the fundamental processes of the body, whereas the other one is a local injection. So this would be for like a knee injury. They can take ozone and inject it into that area, but it just stays confined to that area. So it's not necessarily supporting the fundamental processes of the body. So if you're an athlete, one of your primary concerns should be oxygen delivery. And that's one of the main claims with ozone therapy. The American Academy of Ozone Therapy to the International Scientific Committee of Ozone Therapy all claim that it improves oxygen metabolism or oxygen delivery, and it does that by improving the rheology of the blood. Now, the rheology of the blood is the blood's ability to move throughout the body. As I was talking with Dr. Rowan in my previous interview, he was talking about how the red blood cell is actually too big to fit into a lot of capillaries, so it needs to be able to bend and fold. And so the main claim with ozone therapy is that it actually improves the ability of the body to do this. Now that's helpful if you're an athlete because now oxygen is getting to tissues more effectively, which may improve athletic performance. But don't just take my word for it. In a very long and complicated paper that Dr. Bacci considers to be a basic paper on the biochemistry of ozone therapy, he says, it must be added that ozonated erythrocytes show an improved glycolysis with an increase of ATP and 2,3-DPG levels, which are able to shift the dissociation curve of oxyhemoglobin to the right, confirming the observation of an improved delivery of oxygen. Extensive data has been reported in reviews in 2 books. It is now clear that a physiological ozone dose triggers an acute and precisely calculated oxidative stress able to activate several biological processes. As an athlete, one of the other things you need to be worried about is muscle fatigue. If you can find a way to decrease muscle fatigue, you can have better training sessions and ultimately better performance. So if there's something that helps decrease muscle fatigue, and ozone therapy claims to do that, you might be in a better situation than if you're not doing it. However, I didn't find the paper on this super convincing. They did it on rats, and they had 4 levels of rats. They had rats that did just oxygen, low-level ozone, mid-level, and high-level ozone. And they essentially measured their ability to do output and performance, but the ones with the higher level, the highest level of ozone actually did the best in the category of muscular fatigue. They had the least amount of muscular fatigue out of all the rats. And the third thing that ozone therapy claims to be able to do is support a detox effect on a cellular level. So detox is this word that's just thrown around all the time. We see detox and I almost run the other way because it's just so overused.
A detox that
can detox
detox cleanse.
But that shouldn't deter us from the actual meaning of the word. And that's our body's ability to eliminate byproduct and waste that needs to be gotten rid of. So if ozone therapy is legitimately able to detox the body on a cellular level, this would be really good for athletes because as you're doing athletic events and performing, you're building up lactic acid and those other byproducts that your body needs to be able to get rid of. So this would actually be a way of improving I'm sorry, I'm having a little sweaty. But this would be a way of actually improving the recovery time. Now, if you can improve recovery time, a lot of top-level athletes, they focus just as much on the recovery as they do the training. Recovery is a very important aspect because it keeps you healthy and it keeps you at the top of your game. Now, ozone in athletics isn't just limited to the systemic treatments. They also have the local ones, like the injections I was talking about. So if I had like tennis elbow or something, I could actually take ozone and inject it right into the elbow, and that would help stimulate growth factor, so they claim. So this will help speed up the healing response time, calm down some of the inflammation, and do some beneficial things. So this could be really useful for athletes who have injuries. A lot of high-level athletes know that an athlete who trains pretty well for 12 months out of the year is going to do much better than an athlete who trains really, really good for 10 months out of the year. That consistency is super important for them. So if you can find something that's going to help speed up the healing time or reduce the likelihood of further injury, that's going to help out a lot. Well, hey, if I was going to use ozone therapy to up my game, how is it actually administered? Well, fair question. So the primary way is that ozone therapy is administered for the systemic benefit through something called major autohemotherapy. And this is where they pull the blood out of the body, just like 60 cc's up to 300 cc's, and they infuse it with the ozone-oxygen mixture and then reintroduce it back into the body. The second way, which I really don't like to say, but it is the most studied and it's really commonly used, is rectal insufflation. And most athletes actually use this because the major autohemotherapy they can't do. It's banned by most athletic regulatory agencies because it's considered blood doping technically, because they're taking the blood out and putting it back into the body. Blood doping is different because they take it out weeks in advance and then put it back in right before the event. This is done within a 40-minute window, but it's not the ozone therapy that's banned, it's the taking the blood out and putting it back in that's banned, blood doping. So that leaves a lot of athletes who choose to do rectal insufflation. Not my favorite thing to say, not very glamorous, but it's been studied quite a bit and it's claimed to be pretty effective. The third way, which I'm not as much of a proponent of, is ozone saunas. So this is where they do a sauna that goes up to the neck and they just pump ozone gas into that. And they claim that by opening up the sweat pores, ozone is able to get in and stimulate a beneficial effect within the body. So logically, it makes sense that ozone therapy would work for athletic performance if it actually does what the claims say it does. However, there's not much clinical data. There is one, Dr. Minkoff, who says he sees up to a 15% increase in performance output through ozone therapy. But we really don't know with clinical data whether you get a 50% increase or a 0.5% increase. So that kind of leaves us not really knowing on the range or the spectrum at which ozone therapy is effective for athletic performance. So it leaves me a little bit curious, to say the least. So I figured the best way to know, does ozone therapy really work for performance enhancement, is to try it out myself. So we're going to try out an ozone therapy. We're going to test my performance before and after and see what the results are. So what we're going to do to test the athletic performance and the increased athletic ability of the ozone therapy is I'm going to run a mile. We'll see how fast I go. We'll come back, we'll do the ozone therapy, and then we'll run another mile and see how fast I'm able to do that. How fast was that?
10 minutes.
All right, that's pretty slow, but let's do the ozone and see if I get any better. So we got our ozone treatment done. I'm feeling good, I'm feeling spectacular. We're gonna run another mile here. And this time, I decided to up the ante with a couple of added weights. So let's see what happens. How fast was that?
That was 4 minutes. That was crazy.
Yeah, not surprised. Ozone's pretty good. So does ozone therapy really work as a performance enhancer? Well, I think, welcome to the gun show. He must do ozone therapy. No, but I think that there's just not enough clinical data on it, and it really leaves me in a place where I'm not sure if it really is a good performance enhancement. Nonetheless, I put this information before you to let you decide. If I personally was trying to improve my athletic performance, I would still do ozone therapy, but that's also because I have access to the equipment pretty readily, pretty easy for me to do. I'm pretty familiar with it. But I've heard a lot of feedback from people who do athletic performance sports, and they get good results with ozone therapy. So that kind of leaves me in a space of this anecdotal versus some of this biochemistry stuff. So we really still just don't know where it sits, but when it comes down to it, if I was trying to improve my athletic performance, one of the pieces of that would be ozone therapy. Well, if you're wondering why I was so sweaty in this video, it's because I want to support a company that I've been using for a long time. So you might be familiar with exercise with oxygen therapy, EWOT. So exercise with oxygen therapy, you're just on a treadmill, you're on a bicycle, and there's a reservoir or a bag that goes to your mouth. And the reservoir is full of oxygen. So as you're exercising, you're actually breathing in a high concentration of oxygen. And this is supposed to help oxygenate your tissues. But LiveO2 did one better when they added in altitude contrast. So now, instead of just having the standard EWOT system where you're just breathing the oxygen, you can actually be on that bicycle or that treadmill and train for a short period of time at altitude. So it'd be like the equivalent of training on a mountain at 15,000 feet. And you just do that for a short amount of time to get your blood vessels dilated, to get your body to open up and be more receptive to the oxygen. And then you flip in the oxygen and you start breathing that. So basically, you get a better flush of oxygen to the system. And LiveO2 is not paying me for this. They don't even know about it. I'm not getting any commissions for it. They didn't ask me to do this. I'm just trying to support a company that I've been using for a long time and I think might be beneficial to you if you're already looking for an EWOT system. So if you're interested in this, just go to liveO2.com, check out their product, and hope you enjoy it. Let's get back to the video. So thanks for watching. This is Mike with Dr. Ozone, and until next time, Ozonauts.